Hey there, Alyssa here, and it's time for another AAA Ask Alyssa Anything session where I'm responding to questions left in the comments about the publishing industry and how to write a better book. I know you guys love it when I have Luca behind me, so there he is, and I'm excited to answer some specific questions you all have and hopefully help alleviate some of your concerns, because I know writing and publishing is such a hard industry to be a part of. Don't worry, I'm here to support you through it. Let's get some housekeeping out of the way. If you're watching this and haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, and while you're down there, hit the thumbs up button because it helps my videos reach more viewers and grow this community. I know you've heard me talk about it, but if you haven't grabbed my free story self-assessment worksheet yet, now is a great time. If you have a work in progress, it is going to give you certain prompts to help you understand your confidence level in your story and certain narrative elements that maybe you should work on in the next draft. And it's going to opt you in for my Chapter Break newsletter series, where I feature literary agents and successfully published authors with exclusive interviews, so you don't want to miss out on that. We have some great questions as always today, so let's dive in. Is it necessary/expected etiquette to inform your agent about another work in progress that you know they wouldn't be interested in? Context: I have an agent who's currently pitching my debut thriller novel to publishers, and he knows I'm busy writing the sequel. He doesn't know I'm also working on a spicy romance novel with a co-author, which we would publish under a pen name, and I'm 100% positive neither he nor anyone else at his agency would be interested. Can I have two agents? Is that a thing? How aware should they be of each other and my alternate projects? This is a great question because I see a lot of comments from viewers wondering how they can pursue a career as an author without pigeonholing themselves. And my perspective on this is that you absolutely should not pigeonhole yourself to one genre. If you feel compelled to write in different genres, or in your case, write with a co-author and explore those different avenues. This industry is all about fostering your creativity. And whatever gives you that creative juice, whether it's experimenting with new formats, new genres, or different writing partners, you should definitely pursue it. I know that wasn't your question, but I just wanted to get that out there first. So the best relationships between authors and agents are going to be relationships that have open communication. Your agent signed you on because they love your writing and your stories, and they want to be your partner to help get those stories out into the world. Even if you have written something that the agent isn't interested in selling or doesn't have the capacity to sell, in my view, they should be looped in on what those other projects are and your interest in publishing them. The agent would likely feel very confused and maybe even hurt if they found out that you got representation elsewhere or even published a book with another publisher that they had no idea about. So I would definitely loop them in to what you're thinking. And you can say up front, I know this isn't your thing, and I don't expect you to represent me for this book because I know it is not in your wheelhouse, but I wanted to keep you in the loop. Do you have any suggestions on how I should go about publishing this one? Your agent is going to know a lot of other agents, likely other agents that specialize in this other genre you are writing in, and it's possible they could refer you to that agent. And having that foot in the door is going to help you a lot. It's not impossible that you could have different agents working together. There are situations in which agents co-agent an author. I've seen that even done for a specific singular book. So I don't think it's off the table that you could have two agents, but just be upfront with your current agent and say you have this other project and ask them what you should do and if they could introduce you to any other agents who might be interested if they can't take it on. Your agent might also surprise you and say they do want to take it on, so you never know. Maybe they are looking to branch out into that genre and you just weren't aware of it. Here's another question. I have a question about switching POVs. My current work in progress is told from a first-person POV, and then the epilogue is told from the perspective of a different character to recast events of the story in a new light. When querying, should I include things like prologues and epilogues, or give them the manuscript or outline without the prologue and epilogue details? If you have chosen to include a prologue and or an epilogue, then that is part of your story, in my view. You have deemed that it is necessary to the reader's experience of the work. And if it isn't ultimately necessary, it shouldn't be there in the first place and you should take it out. So if you think about it in that perspective, then absolutely it would be included in anything that you send to a literary agent, whether the prologue is included in those first 10 pages that you send with your query letter, or whether they request the full manuscript, you would absolutely include the prologue and the epilogue. Because after all, you have decided that those are components of the story that you feel are necessary to include. There's a lot of debate about prologues especially, so I would be especially critical of that. There are many cases where a prologue works very effectively, either in flash forwarding to certain events that occur later in the novel to establish suspense, or giving us critical backstory, or introducing a character's perspective that we need to know later on. But there are also just as many prologues that are unnecessary and ultimately poorly written. So if you do have a prologue, be very, very critical of it. Make sure that it is an essential entry point for the reader into your story. And if it is, then it should absolutely be part of the pages that the agent reviews. If it's not, maybe you cut it out entirely and just begin the story with chapter 1. We have time for one more question today. I was wondering what's your take on an editor likes on Twitter pitches? I'm currently querying and I participated with the same manuscript in a pitch contest on Twitter that allows for editor likes as well. My pitch has been liked by a publishing entity that belongs to one of the big 5. Do you think it's smart to incorporate that information in my querying? The like, according to the publishing house, meant an expression of interest and an invitation to send the materials to them once agented, which to me sounds like a good thing to include since it showed interest for my material. I was wondering how that would be perceived on your end. In this particular case, I do not think there is any harm in you mentioning in your query letter that your pitch received a like from this specific publishing house. Now, you do want to make sure that the publishing house is reputable, that that is actually the profile of a professional at that publishing house or the publishing house itself. For instance, if it was a vanity press that liked your pitch but isn't a traditional publishing house, then you mentioning that in your query would likely look amateurish to the agent and might not be giving them the impression that you intend. But if it is truly an imprint of a major publishing house, one that a literary agent would potentially submit to, then I would mention that in your query letter. Somewhere after the plot blurb section, you would say something like, the manuscript received a like from so-and-so publishing house on Twitter during the so-and-so pitch contest in so-and-so month. I don't think any agent is going to knock you for including that because, as you said, it does show interest in your work and could potentially be a place for that agent to submit to if they choose to represent you. Now, I'll broaden this up a bit. I don't think that you would need to mention in your query letter if other agents have liked your pitch, or say that you're querying an agent who doesn't participate in these pitch events on Twitter, but other agents who do liked your pitch. I wouldn't say anything like 3 agents liked my pitch during this pitching event, because that isn't necessarily compelling to a literary agent who is reviewing your query. But like you observed, having that publisher interest could be relevant to them. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted today, and if you have a question you'd like me to answer in the next session, drop it in the comments here and it will be added to my queue. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you are enjoying these Ask Alyssa Anything sessions, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and grab your free story self-assessment worksheet in the description below. Thanks so much for watching and happy writing.